All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are looking at 11 through 22 in your review packet for your final. I just want to remind people that they can have a formula sheet and like a step sheet. It can't have any examples on it, but you can use it for the final exam. You must get it signed by the end of the day tomorrow if you want to use it on your exam. Remember, your guys' exam, your first and second hour is on Monday. Third, fourth is on Wednesday. First and second is on Wednesday. Third and fourth is on Thursday, and fifth and sixth is on Friday. They're about 85 minutes of time. Okay, it will be a multiple choice test, but that means you should still be working through the problems, because if you guess, you have a 25% chance of getting the right answer, 25 is failing, and 20% is your group. All right, let's go over this review. We've got x minus 2 times 3x plus 4. So for this, we're going to make the box. Okay. We're going to put on the outside x minus 2. We're going to put right here 3x and 4. Okay? And then we're simply going to multiply everything. 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times negative 2 is negative 6x. X times 4, is everybody following me? X times 4 is 4x. And 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Are there any of these that are like terms, meaning they have the same letter and the same exponent? Which ones? Negative 6 and 4. So we can put those together. So we're going to get 3x squared minus 2x minus 8. Because negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2.
I don't get that. We circled 4x and negative 6. Why?
Because they are like terms. They both have an x, and neither of them have exponents.
So we don't use them?
No, so we're putting them together. Negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2.
Oh. Okay.
All right. So let's move on. We're going to do the same thing for these. Ugh. Hold on 1 second. We're going to do the same thing for number 12. The only difference is we're going to make the box a little bit bigger. That top one has 3 terms, so I'm going to have 3 by 2. So I've got x and 3, please don't talk while I'm talking through, on one side. And I'm going to have x squared, 4x, and 5 on the other. Now I'm simply going to multiply. X squared times x is x to the third. X times 4x is 4x squared. 5 times x is 5x. 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times 4x is 12x. And 3 times 5 is 15. Okay. Now, like terms, is there anything that has an x to the third? Yes. No. Nothing that has an x to the third power except x to the third. All right. Let's look at squares. Is there anything that's to the squared? We've got 4x squared and what else? So we add them together, we get? Okay. Is there anything that has just an x next to it? 12 and 5, so we add them together, we get? 17. And then 15 is by itself. Questions about this? Good? All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, we're going to have to find the roots and graph it. When we find the roots, it means instead of y, we're going to put a what there? 0. So we get 0 equals 3x plus 12. No. I'm going to just subtract 12 from both sides. Then I'm going to do what? Divide by 3. Negative 4 equals x squared. Then what would I do?
Oh my God.
Square root, and it's no real roots. All right, if there are no real roots, what are we going to do? How are we going to graph this?
That's like I said. I don't know.
What's a good way to graph stuff if you don't know what the roots are?
Don't write
Yes, we're going to make a what? Yeah. Come on, guys.
You using 1, 2, 0?
No.
it.
Okay, so we're going to start with some negatives. Let's start with -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2.
I said that.
Okay, Mark, remember, we don't yell things out or we get kicked out. You raise your hand, you wait to be called on. Please don't mess around. So we're going to go 3 parentheses, -2 and parentheses squared plus 12. Just stick it in your calculator, we get 24. We're going to do the same thing with -1. We get 15.
3 parentheses, -1 squared.
Then we're going to do the same thing, but do it with 0. Get 12. We're going to do the same thing with +1.
Did
We
get
get
a graphic
15.
calculator for this?
Yes. But we raise our hands to ask questions. We don't just shut things out. We get 24. All right, the first thing I notice when I look at this graph is the scale's not going to work for me. So I'm going to make the scale, let's make it by 3s. So I'm going to go 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, and finally 24. So at -2, I'm at 24. At -1, I'm at 15. At 0, I'm at 12. At 1, I'm at 15. And at 2, I'm at 24. That's my graph.
It's quadratic.
Correct. We knew it was quadratic also because it had a square. Mark, do you have a question or are you just joking? Okay. All right, let's move on to number 14. All right, we need to find the roots. So I know the first thing we're going to have to do is set it equal to 0. Okay. Now, how many terms do I have?
3.
3. So that means I'm going to have to make a plus. Okay. I know there's an x squared here, so I know that's x times x. What two things multiply to give us 4, but would add together to give us 4? 2. We get 2x, 2x. That adds to 4x. So I get 0 equals x plus 2 times x plus 2. So I know 0 equals x plus 2, so I'm going to subtract a 2 from each side.
When did we ever do it like that?
Oh.
Yeah, no.
Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to subtract 2 from each side, so I get -2 equals x. We did this for a good solid
I know,
Okay.
but I'm not just went too fast.
So I know that when x is -2, y is 0. This doesn't help me a ton for my graph. So I'm probably going to make a what? Yes? This is number 14. It has the wrong number up. Okay, so we're going to make a table. I know that my one of them needs to be -2, 0. So let's do just one more on either side, -3 and -1. So you've got your graph, you've got your calculator handy. You're just going to plug in, you're going to say -3 in parentheses squared. Got to put it in parentheses or it's going to mess it up. Plus 4 times -3 plus 4. All I'm doing is instead of x, I'm sticking a -3 in.
Is that when you do -1?
Then we're going to stick in -1, and we get 1. So we know our graph looks like this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to number 15. Let's move on to number 15. we're going to find the roots and the vertex for each of these problems. What do you want to do first, roots or vertex? Vertex?
No.
Vertex is real easy. Who remembers the equation for vertex, which you should probably write on your equation sheet?
Y equals mx.
Vertex is negative b over 2a. What is b up there? 2. It's always in front of the x. A would be negative 1. So you would get 1.
Negative 1.
So the vertex would be 1, and then we simply take the x value for the vertex, plug it back into the calculator. So negative parentheses 1 parentheses squared plus 2 times 1 plus 1. 2. Vertex is done. Okay. Now we want to find the roots. First thing to do to find the roots is we set it equal to 0. Okay. There are a couple different ways to do this. Do we want to try factoring? Making a box? Okay. So let's try making the box. We've got negative x squared, which means one of these x's has to be negative. We need it to multiply by 1, but add together to give us negative 2. So this has got to be 1. What are the only two things you can multiply to give you 1? Here is the problem. One of them is going to be 1x, one's going to be negative 1x. That does not add to 2. Okay, which means we can't do this by factoring.
Oh, man.
Okay? There are two other ways to do this. What are those two ways?
Setting the equal to 0 and subtracting 1 and doing all that.
So there is completing the square, and what's the other one?
Completing the square, let's do that.
What is the other one?
I don't know.
Quadratic formula. We can do completing the square though. If we're doing completing the square, the first thing we have to do is pull out a negative because we can't have a negative in front.
Wait, what?
Okay? Then we're going to divide by negative 1 so
Hold on,
it's
Miss
gone.
Murphy. Hold up. Let me get learning.
Yes, Chuck.
Are you doing it?
Excuse me? Yes.
Yeah, a lot. Why'd you?
Okay. Alright. What do I do? What is the next step for completing the square?
Adding 1.
Okay. What is the next step?
Dividing by 2.
No.
Not doing that.
Big box. Please stop talking while I'm teaching. You can get out if you can't handle it.
X.
Okay. What am I going to do to figure out how to do the box? What's half of negative 2?
1.
Negative 1.
Oh,
1 times 1 is 1. I'm going to add 1 to both sides. We get 2 equals, but instead of x squared minus 2x plus 1, I'm going to put x minus 1 squared.
and square root.
Then we square root. We get the square root of 2 equals x minus 1. Now we're going to add 1 to both sides. So 1 plus or minus the square root of 2 equals x, and we can leave it just like that. Okay? Or you can plug this into your calculator and find the two decimals.
Ooh, God,
Alright. Let's move on to number 16. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the vertex. So I take negative b, so that's 9, over 2 times a, which is 2, so I get 9/4. I'm going to change that into a decimal. 9 divided by 4 gives me 2.25. Now I'm going to take that and plug it back in for x, so I get 2 times 2.25 squared plus, minus 9 times 2.25 minus 5. Okay, so my vertex is